Hey everyone, Dr. Mark Schillinger, founder of the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend and Challenging Teenage Sons. The Young Men's Ultimate Weekend is a rite of passage wilderness adventure camp for young men, just like your son. If he's between the age of 13 and 20, he will learn how to develop the skills to adapt to the challenges of the young adult world. Challenging Teenage Sons is an organization I founded about 10 years after I started the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, because I realized that after these young men have these amazing transformational experiences at the YMEW, then they go back to a household where the parents haven't been trained in the same technology that my mentors have at YMEW, and so the young men don't carry on all the good lessons they learned. So Challenging Teenage Sons is an organization dedicated to helping parents and their sons have more caring and cooperative relationships. If you want to learn more about it, check out the Facebook Live that I did last week, because I believe it was on August 24th. Here's why. In that video, I talk about two rites of passages, one for the young men and one for the parents. I'm going to say that again. A rite of passage for parents. I know that sounds really radical, and it makes all the difference in the world. When the young men and their parents attend a rite of passage separately, two different parts of the property, the young men and the parents will develop so much more quickly in terms of caring, collaboration, cooperation, because they went through a rite of passage, which I believe is the number one thing that's missing in our culture to have healthy family dynamics is rite of passage. We've dropped it out as a culture, and our organizations are bringing it back. In fact, we do such a good job doing it that we were featured on CNN last November on a show called This Is Life with Lisa Ling, which you can find on Amazon, HBO, I believe, and of course on the CNN website. Okay, so let's get to the teaching today. The teaching today is called Resilience, How to Help Your Son Develop It. I coach a lot of parents all around the world. It's one of the biggest complaints I hear is that my son doesn't have the desire or the ability to really handle the challenges in the outside world. Well, that's a very scary thing as a parent of a teen, which I was many years ago. That fear of knowing that your son can't make it. So we have to help him develop resilience. How do you do it? First, you must clearly define what resilience means. In my work with parents and their sons, everything has a virtue, which is a one-word quality, like resilience, and then it has a one-sentence definition. The definition of resilience is adapting to reality on its terms. Another way of saying that is being able to handle whatever life throws at you. That's it. That's how we define it. When I say that's how we, meaning me and the mentors at the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, we don't give 5 or 10 minute long lectures about what they should have done or should not have done. We just say, here's what resilience is, here's what it means, and we're going to help you develop it. Accountability is really important if you want a young man to develop resilience. So accountability is a virtue. The way we define it is owning what you should have done or not done without excuses. Just own it. So if you want your sons to develop resilience, these two terms have to be clearly defined. And I'll give you one more virtue that must be clearly defined to develop resilience in a young man, and that's called responsibility. When I say to parents, what do you know your son needs to learn the most? They almost always will say responsibility. He's not responsible. He doesn't do the things he's supposed to do. So here's how we define responsibility. Doing the things you like to do and don't like to do until completion. That's it. No long lectures. Doing the things you like to do, don't like to do, till completion. That's responsibility. So when you want to speak to your son about responsibility, you may say something like this. Son, I'm asking you to clear the dishes every night after we eat. Dad and I work hard, or Mom and I work hard to pay for that food and to prepare the food, so we're asking you to do your part. We're asking you to be responsible. That means doing things you like to do and don't like to do until completion. Thank you for listening. Love you. That's it. No long lectures. They don't have the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that can take in a whole lot of information at one time to really understand what you're saying. And even if they do, they're going to tune you out. Keep it brief. Let's say your son doesn't do the dishes afterwards. Don't make bad shit up on the spot like, I'm so angry that you're going to give us your phone. You can't go out tonight. There's no more time with your friends this weekend. Like, don't do that. Okay. On a whole nother Facebook Live, I'll teach you how to do consequences for young men. That's not the way to do it. You don't want to make stuff up. Okay. You just want to say something like, son, I asked you to be responsible. That means doing things you like to do and don't like to do until completion. Now I'm asking you why you didn't do it, and you're making up all this stuff. I'm asking you to be accountable. That simply means owning what you should have done or not done without excuses. So just tell me the truth. That's all I'm asking. Thank you. And then quietly listen to see what they have to say. Again, this is not a talk about consequences, because I know a lot of you think, well, what about my son? He's not going to feel remorseful. He's not going to care after I say, thank you for telling me. So yes, you need to have consequences, which in my model, by the way, consequences are not punishments. There's no young man that I know in this day and age, in this era of digital dominance, where they can just tune you out and go tune into something more fun. So consequences means positive discipline, things that you're going to have your son do in order to learn how to handle the responsibilities in the home, which will then help him make it in the outside world. That's what I mean by consequences, and they're really effective in my model. So, one little thing before I tell you a story about developing resilience. What I know is this: most parents, when they have a teen son, are still parenting them. So we have a motto in my work, which is stop parenting, start mentoring. Here's what I mean by that. Stop doing so much for your son. Stop over-talking, which he's not listening to anyway. Start teaching him how to do things. Or hire mentors like me or other people who can show him what to do. Because we just assume, spelled A-S-S, we assume that they know what we're talking about. I coach young men who are 18 who don't even know how to use Google Calendar on their phone. No judgment. Just saying we are at a time now where there's so many distractions for young men that if we don't teach them or hire people to teach them or send them to relatives and friends who can, they're not going to make it. So we need to teach them. So the theme is stop parenting, start mentoring, teach them how to do the things they need to do in order to make it in that outside world. When I say outside world, I'm pointing to that window over there. Okay, story here before we end. At the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, which is happening September 24th through September 26th, Friday through Sunday, in Northern California, Lake Berryessa, beautiful spot. And that's where the Parenting Rite of Passage will be as well. At the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, the young men go through a lot of challenges, physically, mentally, and emotionally. They discover their strengths and their weaknesses. They develop the emotional intelligence it takes for them to realize that this time of life is not going to go on until they're 80, right? It's till they're 18, and then it's time to get out. So, one of the things we do to teach them resilience is this. They show up Friday night, they're not thrilled to be there. By Saturday afternoon, they're starting to have some fun and realize, hey, maybe this will be so good, it will be really good. And then by Saturday night, they love being there. They really feel united with the men. Sunday morning, we do some ceremonies, and then late Sunday morning, we do the resilience skillful training, which is this. We get all the men, there's about 60, 70 volunteers who show up to take care of these young men, and there's about 60, 70 young men. They all go on this big field, and there's like a basketball, a football, a baseball, maybe a soccer ball, right in the middle of the field. The young men are on one side, the adult men are on the other side, and then somebody will blow a whistle, and the game begins. Now, the young men haven't been told what the instructions are. The adult men know what to do. So they run, the adult men run, they get the ball, they throw it into this kind of like goalie-like, soccer goalie, getting behind them, and they start winning really quickly. Most of the young men will stand there going, what the hell's going on? Like, nobody taught us the rules. And the adult men will keep piling up the score. They know the rules, they know what to do. And at some point, we blow the whistle, whoosh, and we say to the young men, what do you need? And first they complain, which we understand. When they're done complaining, we go, what help do you need? Well, what are the rules? What do we do? What else do you need? Well, it looks like you guys have leaders. We don't have any leaders. So we get them to see that they need to prepare themselves better for the challenge of winning this game, which they do. So we give them some time. They pick captains. Very quickly they catch on. And they want to kick our butts to show us that they're better athletes, which they are. So we blow the whistle again. It's the second half, and they come out full force, highly organized, highly energetic. Sometimes we beat them, mostly we don't. But here's the thing, at the end we all circle up. We have 150 dudes in this big circle saying, what did you learn? And the young men get it right away. They learn that they can't stand there and feel sorry for themselves. They're not boys anymore. They need to adapt to the realities of life quickly, without excuses, without complaining. Handle it. They breathe, they relax, they gather themselves, and then they go handle it. That's what we teach them. Relax and respond. Relax and respond. Don't act on your reactions. Relax to them, and then respond. Adapt to reality on its terms. By the end of the game, regardless of who wins, we're all there in this big circle. It's really kind of goosebumpy because everybody gets that. As men and young men, if we're going to take good care of ourselves and our families and our community, we have to relax and respond in the most appropriate way that reality is telling us to do so. So, if you have any questions about the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, you can email us at info@ymuw.org. If you have any questions about challenging teenage sons, you can email us at info@challengingteenagesons.com. Thank you for watching today. We'll see you next week, same time. Bye-bye.